Now that you have an understanding of the differences between single transaction bonds and continuous customs bonds from our previous video, let's discuss bond amounts and how to determine the correct amount for your company. Let's start at the beginning. What is bond amount? The bond amount is also known as the penal sum of the bond and refers to the maximum monetary amount a surety bond provides in cases where the bonded entity doesn't meet its contractual obligations towards someone else, known as the obligee. In the case of a U.S. Customs bond, the bonded entity is the importer of record and the someone else, obligee, is Customs and Border Protection. The penal sum of the bond is determined by the obligee and type of surety bond required. The first thing to consider is, will you be filing a single transaction bond or a continuous customs bond? When determining the size of a single transaction bond for your company, the calculation is fairly simple. The bond must be no less than the total entered value of the goods plus all duties, taxes, and fees. A single transaction bond must be written at a minimum of $100, but the size can ultimately be set by the port director. So, for example, if you're importing goods subject to a partner government agency, the bond required may be 3 times the total entered value. Since the bond amount for a single transaction bond is determined by the value of the goods being entered, every entry made would be calculated based on its individual value, and every entry would need its own single entry bond. Now, let's compare that to a continuous customs bond. Continuous customs bonds are calculated differently. Rather than being based on the total value of the goods, a continuous bond is based on the total duties, taxes, and fees you pay annually. So, let's look at the formula. To start with, we take the total duties, taxes, and fees you pay annually and multiply it by 10%. Now, we take that amount and round it up to the nearest 10,000 increment to get the bond amount for your company. In this chart, we can see the different sizes of the bond and how rounding up to the nearest 10,000 works. We can also see that the minimum bond amount that can be set with Customs and Border Protection is $50,000. Therefore, if you pay in between $0 and $500,000 in duties, taxes, and fees, you would need a $50,000 bond. $500,000 to $600,000 would require a $60,000 bond, and so on. However, once you reach $900,000 to $1 million in duties, taxes, and fees, the bond size increments round up by $100,000 instead of $10,000. Risky or non-compliant importers may be required to place a larger bond with Customs. If you have any questions about the size of your bond, contact your bond provider. Do you feel more informed? Subscribe to our channel for more tips and insights into the international trade world.